And with that, we are on to the Atlanta Hawks, which are, or no, we're on to the Miami Heat. Excuse me. They are my team. They are very clearly buyers. I have their most likely player to be traded as Dwayne Dedman, which basically means that no, the Heat are not going to do anything big. Probably. They need, I don't want to say they need a whole bunch, but like they could probably fill all their needs in one player, where it's like they really need to upgrade that sort of four spot. And they also need some more shooting and someone who can open up the half court offense. Maybe not necessarily as a ball handler, because you have Jimmy Butler, you have Tyler Hero, you have Bam Adebayo, you have Victor Oladipo, you have whatever the hell Kyle Lowry is at this point, but someone who's going to open up the floor with like functional shooting, or just be able to pump and go and maybe take, lower, not like low complicated shots, but be able to take them at high volume. And so the player that gets mentioned constantly is like Bojan Bogdanovic, but do they have the assets to go out and get that type of player? They can trade this year's first round pick, and they can trade first round picks in 27 and 29. But are they going to be I guess one of the questions is that I have for them. And, there's the easier question is, can they upgrade the forward rotation and overall complementary offense? But the second question is, how big of a swing are they willing to take here? Because if they wait until the offseason, there might be more starrier players that become available. And that's when you make the Godfather offer of, I don't know if they're including Tyler Hero at that point when his extension kicks in, but you have Kyle Lowry's an expiring contract. Another year is ticked off Duncan Robinson's deal. Can you make the picks plus money offer and get someone better than the best player you could get right now, who, let's just be realistic and say that the Heat could trade for Bojan Bogdanovic or maybe Kyle Kuzma? Like, is it worth them going not even the all-in route, but like sort of splitting the baby and having to give up a first-round pick and Nikola Jovic, or 2 first-round picks now? Are they willing to do that mid-season?
I think I don't know whether they should. I think they kind of might be, just because I think there is some justifiable faith internally that look, the Heat just they seem to have a history. They don't seem to. They have a history of overachieving in the postseason. And if you have Butler and Adebayo, and you get one more piece in there, Tyler Hero is leveled up. Like, yeah, I mean, they're not afraid of anybody they're going to see in the East playoffs. Cutting against that, though, is what we keep talking about of like, if you're a buyer right now, it's a real bad time to be a buyer. So you may not, what few assets you have are just not going to go as far. So I think a lot of it, as far as their plan goes, has everything to do with like, how good do they think, do they really think they're one piece away from being on the same level as Boston and Milwaukee? And they might think that. And then put Jovic and all the picks on the table, and you got a bunch of salary you could mix together between, Martin and Oladipo, or 6 and 8 million. Duncan Robinson's bad money you could throw in there with enough picks. Like, there's ways for them to do a lot. But it's just a question of those two factors. Like, is it smart to be a buyer now? And do they think it's worth it, relative to what their ceiling would be if they filled that 4 spot or just added another big wing?
Yeah, I mean, like, they're not even mentioned in the OG Anunoby sweepstakes, because I guess people aren't sure if Toronto's rebuilding. And so even if you went all the picks route, would that even interest them? Duncan Robinson and a shit ton of picks, I don't think that would interest Toronto. And then I could talk myself into saying, well, they could go out and get Zach LaVine if he becomes available. Like, is that, like, he's not necessarily the player that they need. That's just so I mean, he's kind of redundant with Tyler Hero, if we're being
a little bit.
Honest.
Unfortunately for him and the salary differences, he is a little bit.
The trade I have for them, though, is the Heat get Eric Gordon and KJ Martin. The Rockets get Dwayne Dedman, Nikola Jovic, Duncan Robinson, 2023 first round pick, top 8 protection.
I like what that does for their books, moving Robinson off. I mean, you're basically paying the first, because I don't know what Gordon's future is going to be, but Gordon makes them better now. I think doesn't KJ Martin feel like a guy that would get to Miami and suddenly everybody's like, they did it again. They got this athletic guy that
he's been like kind of good in Houston for the past few years.
Right. But it's like, this is a Derek Jones Jr. situation all over, like that kind of thing. I think that might feel a little low, especially if you like Jovic a lot. But I think if I'm the Heat, I probably do that. Or, I mean, you proposed it. How do you feel about that? I never asked you. I never turn it back on you. Do you like the trade you made up?
So actually, I'm not sure if I do it if I'm Miami, but if I'm Houston, because I don't view Eric Gordon as worth a first round pick on his own anymore, and you're not getting a first round pick for KJ Martin on his own, to just take on Duncan Robinson's money for 2 more years. Like I know you think you need cap space and you have your pick owed to OKC starting next year. You still have some cap space if you take on Duncan Robinson. So just get the pick, and then you have Jovic to sort of evaluate as well. I understand that maybe you run into some like roster crunch issues at that point, but like you have some other veterans that you should be getting rid of or will come off the books after this season. So I would do it I actually like this most for Houston because it's like, let's just get another draft pick bite at the apple, and we could see what Jovic is. With the Heat, I think I would do it just because Eric Gordon is so complimentary. I just don't know if I love KJ Martin at the 4 for them. Does he do enough offensively aside from putting pressure on the rim, which maybe that's all they want out of that position, but their spacing's iffy enough that I don't know if like KJ Martin, you slide him in with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, how that necessarily works out.
Yeah, he's still the second best Martin on the team, so that's not great.